welcome to Mini Medi. I heard a prayer a while ago and I just loved how it said it's better to seek to understand than to be understood. And it stuck with me because I used to really be upset a lot that people didn't understand me. And so I learned there's benefits to actually attempting to understand someone else's viewpoint. It's imperative to have effective communication and spend twice as much time listening and ask pertinent questions to really attempt to get to that point. So whenever you're having conflicts with someone, you can be bold and ask them, why do you think that way, or what makes you say that, or how do you come to that conclusion, and have a real conversation. And it might actually help both of you to understand each other a little better. And it's important, I guess if you know why you came to this earth, or why you're here, or what your purpose is, it's helpful. And unfortunately, right now, it's an odd time. It's 2020, and a lot of things that seem to have just been under the surface have ignited, and it's just an interesting time, and it's be easy to put everybody in boxes, so to speak, but people are too complex to really put people in boxes, and I refuse to do that because a lot of different people have tried to put me in a box, and it's just been not the truth. So it's important that we keep our minds open and continue to have open minds and open to change, and still understand we can't control other people, or we can't even make people see our point of view. Some people will never see your point of view, and that's the way it is, and we have to accept that, unfortunately. But this is about life on life's terms, and I know for my own self, I end up being the one who has to make a lot of adjustments to the people around me, and be okay with that, and knowing the delicacy that sometimes you learn. When is it better to step back and not say anything, and when is it better to speak up, and how to speak up? Sometimes you have to use a lot of passion in your voice when you speak up, and other times you don't. So yeah, I guess it can be complex, can't it? So it just is an important time, and I've learned a while ago words matter. And words matter because everyone's interpretation of words. And I think, effective communication needs to consider that. And it's not to start trouble, but when I used to facilitate groups, I would be mindful of how things sound and how they might come across or be perceived by other people, because you can have 10 people in a room, and they, through emotions and their own filters, can hear things very differently. So if I said the exact same thing and they all heard the same thing, each one of them could technically be having a different takeaway as to, or a different meaning of what I meant, and maybe they didn't take away how I really meant what I was saying. And I think that's something to be mindful about when you say things. And I'll just give some examples because I try not to talk too much about politics, but I will. And about other things too, because I've been in Black Lives Matter. I've been in, I've gone and done marches, actually at the White House recently. I believe in what they're standing for and how it was originated. I believe Black Lives Matter, of course, and I believe that everyone, women, I've always just, how do I say this? I met some people a while ago, and I don't even know if it's true. I haven't did a deep dive into it, but I met this woman who used to be a nun, and God, I loved her so much, and I still do. I don't have contact with her now, but she was amazing to me. But she quit being a nun because she didn't agree with the fact that women couldn't be priests. Made sense. I just found her fascinating. And she said, they removed books that were empowering to women in the Bible, that the Bible is incomplete because white men wanted to be in charge, so they twisted everything into meaning what they wanted it to mean so they could have power over people. Well, that was news to me, but it was the beginning of my journey to female empowerment, and I always tell everybody I vote because women have suffered before me and weren't allowed to vote. It wasn't their right. They were like the property of men, and they were pushed down. So I've always been about women's rights and women's rights to their bodies, and I've always been that. And I guess some people try to put a label on that. I don't care what kind of label they want to put on me. I don't do labels. I don't. And women get to do what they want to do and not listen to a man, as far as men that want to, not all men, but the men, who really think women are underneath them. And they do exist. And they are also the same type of people who think that darker skinned people also serve a role and should serve them and should not have rights. So they do. And let's face it, come on already. There is, even to this day, and it's disgusting, that they try to make it hard for black people to vote in different areas and zip codes to vote. And even in my own life as a female, I've had a couple bad incidences with cops who act like whatever and have not treated me well. And I know that the power has gone to their head. And so that's why I remember I dated a Chicago cop, and I told my friends, look, I don't normally date cops in Chicago because I know they get jaded. And this guy had only, I said, he's a rookie. He's only been there for 3 years. He hasn't changed yet. But I'm not saying they all do, but a lot of them get pretty corrupt. They do. And not all of them, because I had, years later, I had gotten robbed, and I met this great detective, and he found the guy who robbed me. It was awesome. And he was a good man. So I don't stereotype anybody. I don't stereotype white men, black men, black women, white women. The most horrible offenses against me have actually been a white male when I was 16. I mean, he was basically a freaking abusive rapist. And he was my friend's sister's husband. And he did the most horrific things mentally. But that was a interesting time in my life to realize just people are horrible. And at that time, women, a cop will ask you, well, what were you wearing? And now I don't think they ask that anymore, thank God, because it's amazing how people, the only thing that matters is if a woman says no, she means no. And and that's that. And don't disregard a female. And it's just insane how, I met women who have even even other things that, like, women used to go to the doctor and complain about PMS, and then they were, oh, you don't have that, that's not real. So women have always had this problem with people trying to put them in a box, or a lot of people like to justify their own craziness, right? So realize that the psychology of people, people want to justify their own crap. And that is a fact. That's a fact. But it's important that you learn how to speak up. I wish when I was 16, I would have known how to speak up for myself. I really do. It's not something I've been very good at. But I've learned how to speak up when to speak up. And sometimes there is a time to speak up, and sometimes there's not. So I feel like we just had a therapy session. But if you're in a place where you feel like you don't have support, because that used to be my problem, please reach out to me, because I can help. I know I can. So you can reach out to me and send me an email at minimedi333@gmail.com if you have anything you'd like to vent with me about, or you need my input. I'd be happy to help. So this will be on acceptance. This topic in this little meditation, acceptance. So on that, just hold your hands out with the palms up and take 3 deep breaths. I accept that life is life and we are on this journey. I have my individual journey and lessons to learn, things to gain, and I will lose things along the way, but I will become stronger and gain more. I have faith, and I know that I live righteously, and that people who I feel have done me wrong, that will all sort itself out, even if I have no idea what has happened to them. I have faith in a higher power that everything works out for the good of all. And I don't have to do anything sometimes. And things just work out. And I'm okay with that. I accept life on life's terms. And the only person I am responsible for is me. I cannot control others. I spend my time and energy on keeping myself safe and viewing people from an understanding heart and mind. And I also understand the psychology of people and understand that people make wrong choices, and that I can bless them on their journey. People that come into my life, I do the right thing for them, yet I keep my family and myself safe along the journey. At the end of the day, I do the right thing and I speak up for what is right. I don't need other people's approval. I just don't. I need the approval of my higher power, and I need to know I'm living a pure life. And that is my destiny and what I desire. And that is my purpose. Everyone has to determine what their purpose is. And my priorities are straight. My priorities are in order: love, truth, justice, hope, joy, compassion, empathy, peace, kindness. All things that are good and great and holy. And I am one with all that is great and all that is good and all that is of the heart. And I live in that oneness. I am uplifted in spirit and mind and soul. And so it is. Take a deep breath in and release. It reminds me, I've read a couple really good books. There's a book called Power versus Force. If you have not read that book, please read it. It's amazing. It talks about how our thoughts have power, and people who try to have power over people isn't really power, it's force, and how to stand in your own power and to just have good vibes, and even being mindful enough that the music that you listen to radiates, and you want to make sure you're listening to good, empowering, high vibe music, and not music that's going to bring you down. I mean, I think we all know how to bring ourselves down, right? So we need things that bring us up, and that's meditation, yoga, exercise, eating clean, doing the right thing, being kind, reaching out, being generous, doing something for somebody else, listening to beautiful music, creating art. There's so many things that you could do to feel better. If your esteem is low, write cards, do something, say thank you to somebody else, total strangers. If you see they have nice Christmas decorations up, put a little card, thank you for sharing your beautiful Christmas lights and decorations with the world, and say a little thank you, drop it off at their house and at their door. I don't think you're allowed to put it in their mailbox. I think that might be illegal, but without a stamp. Anyway, you have a great uplifting day, and no matter what's happened, in your life, don't get stuck there. Move on. Obviously, everything that happens to us becomes a part of us, and it's all meant, I don't know what it's meant for, but it's good to assign meaning to it and to be stronger and learn from things, and just turn it into something that's empowering to your mind, body, and soul. And that's it. Move on. It's time, to just take that lesson, take that even tragedy, and make it into something that's empowering. That's your job, your responsibility. Nobody else is going to do it for you. As a matter of fact, a lot of people might work against you, not on purpose, but a lot of people try to put on you what they do. So, like if you have a dream, for example, and they haven't lived out their dream, they're going to poo-poo your dream because they're disempowered and trying to put their disempowerment onto you. So just be mindful of that and how people are operating. And if you can find a handful of people that are going to be your supporters and your cheerleaders, then that's what you want to do, is find your cheerleaders. Okay, find your cheerleaders. It only has to be 5 people that have your back and love you for who you are, Even if 1,000 people think you're, kind of not cool or whatever negative adjectives they want to put on you. It doesn't matter. It's just the opinion. But if you have 5 people to lean on, you are truly a lucky, lucky, lucky person. I'll talk to you later. You have a fantastic day. And I truly, truly mean that. From the bottom of my heart, you are beloved.